Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves Western gear. It's Frank. How are you today?
Yeehaw! I wish I had a Stetson that I could have brought with me, but alas.
Yeah, that's okay. You know, it's not a bad thing to not wear it where you live, considering you're nowhere near the West. In fact, you might be almost as far away from the West as you could possibly get in the continental United States.
Yeah, You might say that if there's a bright center to the west, I'm in the corner that is farthest from.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent paraphrase. 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
Frank, what are you drinking today?
Well, today I am drinking some a special Jameson Black Barrel whiskey. I got this as part of a sampler of Jameson nips from the Jameson distillery itself when I was in Dublin almost 2 years ago. And this is the last one that I had left. And I wanted to give it, so it's Jameson Black Barrel. This was my favorite one that I tried at the distillery, and so I saved it for last. I wanted to save the best for last.
What's special about Black Barrel?
Black Barrel is, gosh, I actually don't remember right now, to be honest. It's triple distilled, and it is charred for a rich, smooth taste. So I think it is a charred barrel. It's put in a charred barrel that gives it brings out some different flavors from the wood. Sort of caramelizes some of it, I think. So I'm enjoying it this evening on the rocks, and I'm enjoying it in a new glass. I was just telling you off air that I was given some gifts recently, and you'll notice that this glass has this. It is for those who are listening, it is a square shaped glass, except it has this round notch cut out of it, almost like the shape of the letter C that runs along one side. And you might be wondering, what on earth could that be for? And I will tell you, it is for a cigar.
A stogie holder.
It is a cigar glass from the fine folks at Corksicle.
Nice.
Yeah. They make good stuff. Mm-hmm. And so this was a gift that I was just given by my sister. And I was very, very excited to
vice to vice.
Yes. She was like, "You still smoke cigars sometimes, right?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Like I love it." So I wanted to make use of it as soon as I could. So here I am. I just I have actually, this is the last cigar in my humidor, and I'm going to, I don't usually smoke inside the house, but cleared it with the wife beforehand, and she was like, "Yeah, go for it." So that is me. What are you drinking? It? I thought I saw something of a similar flavor in your glass.
It's funny that you say that, because I am also drinking whiskey, which normally doesn't happen for us. Normally we don't end up drinking whiskey on the same day. I'm still I don't have multiple whiskeys in the house. I am drinking a Quarter Horse, which I've had before. They've been around since 1885, which is pretty remarkable.
That's legit. Yeah,
actually, when you think about it,
absolutely,
it is legit. It is a product of Kentucky. And it's pretty good. It's a rye whiskey.
anything pre prohibition is impressive.
Good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I wasn't a huge fan of it when I first opened it. It was a little light for me. I kind of wanted to. I mean, even right now, I'm kind of in the mood for a darker color like that. Black really kind of go for a black barrel, truthfully. But it's actually grown on me. I like it. I like it quite a bit. I'm drinking it straight up. I do not drink it on the rocks.
Okay.
Typically.
I'll go either way. You know, tonight I was feeling rocks, but I will go straight up as well.
Yeah, I'll do rocks on warmer nights if somebody offers me something like, you know, just to a little bit more refreshing. But it's cold right now. I think it's 11 here right now, maybe even less than that. But I like it. I'd give it it's like a B, maybe a B plus.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was like a C plus B minus before, so you know, it's moving up in the world. I do like it. But nice. I do wish I had more. I wish I had a cigar, or I guess I could light my pipe if I really wanted
Suppose
to.
you could.
Yeah, I did not clear it with.
Yeah, I know that's the thing, right? I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't unless I'd cleared it with my wife. So I totally understand.
Not be doing that.
And by the way, I probably should mention because someone will probably ask. The cigar is a Villager 125 Habano Robusto. So
also pre-prohibition. No. You know, my wife actually doesn't have a sense of smell, so if I actually didn't light it up, she wouldn't notice, but I would know, and I would feel bad.
You want to do the right thing because it's the right thing, not because you're not going to get caught. Yeah.
Also, I would have to, I'd have to be covered in smoke and blah blah blah. You know, I don't want that life right now.
The wife might not be able to smell it, but your child can, and will.
Oh yeah, and she will.
And she'll rat you out.
She'll sniff me out. Speaking of sniffing things out, Frank, a couple of years ago, the internet trolls sniffed out that Kathleen Kennedy was retiring from Lucasfilm, and they were right a few years later.
Yes, the rumors have been circulating.
People do retire
sooner or later. If you keep saying someone's going to retire, eventually you'll be right.
Apparently, she was going to retire in 2024 when that rumor actually was circulated. She stayed on for another 2 years for reasons we do not know.
Was that when Bob Iger came back?
I think so.
I wonder if it has something to do with that.
I wonder if he was like, you need to stay right now because I'm back and I can't deal with finding somebody right now.
Might be.
So something like that. I'm not sure because I recently read that there was very quietly a Indiana Jones animated show was canceled.
Oh, interesting.
Process of being made and whatever else, and it was going to take place in between the original three films, kind of like Clone Wars, but for Indiana Jones.
Wow, that is so interesting. I wonder where in the chronology they would have done it. Like if it would have been between Temple of Doom and Raiders. Yeah.
Probably Temple of Doom, then Raiders, and then after a few seasons, you probably
do something in between
Raiders, and then you do, yeah. Not just like Clone Wars, because Clone Wars,
but a lot like Clone Wars.
But truthfully, I would have really liked that. I'm kind of a bum that got canceled, but they got spooked with how terrible Dial of Destiny did.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't there, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down, where she's given us some of the best Star Wars content. I'm saying it up front. I think she's given us some of the best Star Wars content and some of the worst at the same time.
Yes.
But
unfortunately,
but but she's they're going the DC Films method, and she's being replaced by two people. The first is, you know him, you love him, you might even hate him, Dave Filoni, who loves it, as the New York Times article that I have in front of me says, Mr. Filoni, an idiosyncratic executive with a fondness for Western wear. He's worked for Lucasfilm for 21 years, most known for being mentored by George Lucas himself, particularly under his tenure creating the Clone Wars, and then onto Rebels, and then The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and so on and so on and so on. If there's one person more like just closely enough affiliated with Star Wars next to George Lucas, it's Dave Filoni.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, by all accounts, he is the closest thing to a
heir to the empire, if you will.
One could say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a very real way. But yeah, I mean, he is like maybe his greatest student, his greatest pupil.
Indeed.
So.
Yes. The other person that is coming in for business affairs and operations chief, Dave Filoni, is coming in as the creative officer. Kevin Feige, James Gunn-esque.
Yes.
If you must relate them in this way, Lynwen Brennan is coming in as the business affairs and operations chief. So that other guy at DC Films, what was his name again?
Peter Safran, is that?
Peter Safran.
Yeah.
There you go. Peter Safran. Ms. Brennan, again from the New York Times, grew up in Wales. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Good for her. Is a 27-year Lucasfilm veteran. She got her start at Industrial Light and Magic, which is the special George Lucas special effects company, I should say.
Yep.
And she has been recently managing Lucasfilm Studios games publishing and consumer products division. So I want to say she's crushing it because
Doing okay.
The games have been great. The publishing actually has been real good for the most part, and everybody loves a good Star Wars consumer product, right? So, and so here we are. Here are the two replacements. People are hot and cold. I think more on Filoni than Ms. Brennan, mostly because they don't know her.
Yeah.
Even though they've been consuming her, like what she's been working on, they don't, people don't associate it the same way.
Right. Yeah. I think it's also like, I think people are less excited about the business person, sad to say. I'm sorry, I'm sure you're great at what you do. But yeah, obviously the creative person is going to be it's going to be a slightly flashier position. And Dave Filoni has been a known name in Star Wars now for just about 20 years. He has been at Lucasfilm for since the early 2000s, but he really, I think his name became known once he was the managing director of the Clone Wars, showrunner, essentially. And he studied at George's side and learning as George sort of gave him the lore. Dave was really good at turning it into stories, and running that show for its whole run. I mean, he was involved in the casting of that show. So, so many of the great voices that we hear in that show are because, in large part because, Dave was involved in sort of creating those characters, creating those versions of those characters, design wise, voices, all of that stuff. And then obviously he did Rebels as well, which was beloved and got sort of its sequel in the Ahsoka series that he made on Disney Plus. But the biggest success that he's had in recent years has been The Mandalorian, where he was working alongside Jon Favreau for those 3 seasons of the show, and now the film coming as well. So Dave had never directed a live action film. He has been I call him Dave, not like I know him, but I used to listen to him on Rebel Force Radio a lot.
He's got that kind of personality.
Yeah, he's one of us. He's one of us.
He is. He's a fan.
Yeah. So like he's been a presence at Star Wars conventions for many, many years, and he's always been very, very active in the fan community. And yeah, he during the Clone Wars would do pretty frequent. Like once or twice a season would do exclusive interviews with the guys at Rebel Force Radio.
That's wild. But they actually now know the Lucasfilm. Like that's so fun for them.
Lucasfilm has kind of clamped down on letting people do those kinds of things just willy nilly. So he hasn't done
Disney.
It might have even been before Disney, but certainly since Disney, they've clamped down on that. So he hasn't been around, presumably because he's not allowed to. But
he still knows
for years. Yeah. And for like those 6 years or 7 years that that show was on, well, yeah, 5 or 6 years that it was on, like a couple times a year I was hearing him. And so there's, dozens of hours of him talking to them, where you got to hear him getting into like what he thinks about Star Wars and what he knows about Star Wars. And, the man has an encyclopedic knowledge. So I've admired him as a Star Wars creator and as a Star Wars fan for a long time. So I'm glad to see him getting this job. I always hoped this would be where he was, what they were sort of setting him up for, with all the responsibility they've given him in the last couple of years. I hope this is where it was going. And I think it's great to have this model where you've got the business person and the creative person. So those things are being managed by people that are competent in those areas, and not sort of trying to squeeze any round pegs into square holes.
Yep. Here's a important question though. I think like Dave Filoni, we said he's at the conventions. He was a fan. He's one of us. When you're one of us, can you objectively look at Star Wars? Like Andor is a great example of objectively looking at Star Wars. Tony Gilroy doesn't give a hoot and a holler about Star Wars lore. He just made a good show, and he had people around him, going, I mean, can't do that, or like, something like that. But he goes, I'm going to do it anyway, or whatever. So, here's the thing. For somebody who loves Star Wars that much, is it just the snake eating its own? Does it become the snake eating its own tail?
Yeah.
Because that's what many saw Ahsoka season 1 as.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so it was like, Ahsoka season 1 was actually just Rebels season 6 or whatever.
5, 6, whatever. Yeah.
5, 6, I can't remember. Yeah. I truthfully, I didn't feel that way when I was watching Ahsoka, because I'm going to say something. I don't really care for Rebels or Clone Wars for that matter. Like, they're good, but they're not. I didn't grow up with them.
Sure.
So I'm not emotionally attached in a nostalgic kind of way. I'm emotionally attached because it's Star Wars. But I don't have this kind of religious fervor about those shows. And so Filoni for me it's great. Actually, I like Filoni more than the products that he puts out, if that
interesting.
Like,
okay. Yeah.
Like when he speaks about Star Wars, I think it was either after season 1 or season 2 of The Mandalorian, there was a round table and he really eloquently, right? Remember this? Yeah.
It was like on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah. And he spoke about like how the Duel of the Fates is not, anything about Naboo or whatever. It's about the fate of Anakin and whether like good is going to triumph at this moment or at this moment, and it all ends up coming. And he certainly knows what he's talking about in a lot of ways that people will talk about Star Wars their entire lives from angles they've never thought about. The Duel of the Fates, great song, never once stops to think about the title of that song and what it means, right?
Right.
Sure. So, from that angle, the fact that he really knows it, I think that's a good thing for a boss. Like, for a boss, your boss, to know like what it is that you're doing. What is the mission statement of our business? What product are we putting out, and how does it all tie together? And are we proud of this product? Do we love this product? Like, all of that, actually great, really great. But then, can you get hung up on your own ideas?
I think it's
as creatives.
Yeah,
their ideas are the best ideas, right?
But are they? I mean, I think it's a great question. Like, should a superfan be the head of a franchise? Should a superfan be the person? Is that the person you actually want in charge? Because, like, to your point, the Tony Gilroy of it all, right? There is something very, very valuable in having an outsider perspective, and you can have the unfortunate side effect of somebody who knows, who's too close to it and knows it too well, and would be better off having some distance to be more objective about what the right direction to take something is. I think Dave Filoni has I think he has a very good talent for taking George Lucas style Lucasian ideas and filtering them a little bit so that they are more accessible. I think
sometimes Lucas's ideas are not overly accessible. See, Book of the Wills and some of the original plans for his trilogy, right? Not totally accessible. Just like you took it a little too far, my man. Like a little too far.
May have gone too far in a few places. Like that's he does tend to go too far in some places, and I think Dave was really good at not only being a learner from him, but being an editor, and taking some of it and being like, okay, this is good. Let's take it and let's put it into a different shape of a container, but the same idea. He's very, very good at that. And I think
hold on, finish your thought, but I gotta keep my hand raised so I remember that I have one going.
I'll very quick. He will be good at taking what other writers bring him and putting it through that same filter to make it sound like Star Wars, to make it feel like Star Wars. That was it.
No. That actually is a very good point, because my concern with the superfan being in charge is that there are only so many shapes of containers. That's from one voice, right? You can only come up with so many, which is sometimes like Star Wars has its very obvious influences, right? They're well documented. Obviously, Filoni knows them very well, but they are George's influences, not Filoni's influences. So there's this really fine line in Star Wars with how much can you bring in. Basically, you're just creating a simulacrum of something where it's if George really loved Kurosawa films, so there's a lot of samurai stuff in Star Wars. But if you don't really like Kurosawa stuff or samurai stuff, then you bringing that into Star Wars doesn't actually feel authentic anymore. It just feels like you're trying to do Star Wars.
Sure.
Which sometimes that's what Ahsoka feels like.
Sure. Yes.
Andor is a great example of wanting to do World War II.
Yep.
Or wanting to, somewhere along there, which is also a Star Wars influence. Maybe to a lesser extent, but from somebody who's passionate about it anyway. And so Mandalorian is a good example of Dave Filoni actually liking Westerns.
Yes.
And Jon Favreau liking Westerns and able to making a Western out of that. So, you know what I mean? You got to be careful. But what's also worth considering is that being the chief creative officer is not making individual shows.
Right.
You don't look at, Avengers Infinity Game and think Kevin Feige individually alone made a great film. He certainly did not. He helped make a good film with the help of the other creative people that are there.
Sure.
Using as a job that people don't really understand what they do. Like being an editor of a book or something like that. They're there to bounce ideas and to talk about it and to move on. And sometimes they got to say yes or no on something for money purposes or filtering into that Star Wars box, like you said. But he's not making it himself. And I think the way that Dave Filoni as a superfan thinks about Star Wars is more of a good thing than a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we have limited data points here, but DC taking a similar approach where James Gunn is also a super fan, who knows DC lore very, very well. And him being in charge of this universe so far, we've had a couple of shows and one feature film so far. And by all accounts, people are liking it. People are enjoying it. People are into Peacemaker. They obviously Superman was a great success.
Commandos was
Creature Commandos. Thank you. I knew there was one more. Thank you. So like these were all well received projects. And Supergirl looks to be really, really good as well. And the other projects that I've heard about and seen, like the Lanterns, like all this stuff is shaping up to be really good. So it's working, I think. It's still early to say, but I think it's working at DC. Having that model, a super fan in the chair, the head creative chair. So I think it can work. Like if we ask the broader question of is this a good idea or not, I think it can work. And I mean Feige is I think another. I'm not sure if he's like at the same level of like.
Oh, he's
all right.
I mean, Kevin Feige was producing X-Men way back in.
No, I know that, but I didn't know if he came from more of a film background or from a.
You should put him in yellow costumes because that's what it is. So I do think I think I don't think you could do that job long enough and not have
that's fair,
a fandom inside you.
Yeah.
Star Wars sits at a slightly different level than DC and Marvel because its content is much smaller.
Yeah.
There's comics and books with it, but there's nowhere near the breadth of stories that DC has, and then Marvel after that. So I think that's something to consider. But I do think that when it comes to being a super fan, being in charge, I think it's whether they really do have. You could be a fan and have wild takes, right? I have a friend. My friend Bobby, hey Bobby, who thinks that Superman would kill the prankster if given the chance. That's his take on Superman because the prankster annoys him that much that Superman would actually just go for it. And Bobby's a super fan. He knows a lot about it. He knows he's like my Mark Waid. He knows the most obscure things of everywhere. If Bobby was in charge of a studio, Superman might murder the prankster.
Wow.
And I would say that's an incorrect reading of Superman.
I would agree.
Right. So what you have to ask yourself is, does Dave Filoni have a correct reading on those characters, on the characters that we already know, on new characters that would fit into the universe? And when it boils down to it, if you look at his track record, yeah, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he completely understands what type of characters and what type of stories belong in Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Yes, he might have gone back to the well with Ahsoka and basically just Ahsoka. I mean, that's really it.
Yeah.
But I don't see that as a problem necessarily. Like, the Clone Wars took live action characters and animated them.
Mm-hmm.
All Ahsoka did was the opposite of that and took animated characters and put them in live action. I don't really see an issue with that.
No.
And truthfully, it didn't demand watching Rebels to understand that season. My wife has never seen Rebels, couldn't tell you a single character in that show. Watched Ahsoka, thought it was great. So, I don't know. So I truly don't think that knowing it is a problem. Like, I remember him talking about Luke in The Last Jedi and people being upset that there was no Mara Jade. There was a sad, lonely man and all this stuff. And he spoke pretty eloquently about the type of like sacrificial Christ figure characters and how there are some characters and stories that don't get the happy ending. So everybody else can have one.
Right.
And Luke Skywalker is one of those characters. He's Frodo Baggins. He's, I don't know, Jesus, or whatever, I'm trying to think of even Moses to an extent. Like, Moses can't enter the promised land. So, but everybody else does, right? He doesn't get the happy ending that everybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
Luke is that character.
Obi-Wan,
another great, doesn't get the happy ending. So other people can, right? And I think that's a read on Luke that the majority of the fan base doesn't have, because the majority of the fan base just really wants to see Luke swish his lightsaber really fast and be awesome. And kind of forgetting that being awesome is that sacrificial play, that final move that I might die here, but it's for the benefit of everybody else. And you just kind of get used to Luke winning because you've seen Return of the Jedi thousands of times. Sure. And he does win, right, in Last Jedi, just in a different way than you wanted or expected. But Filoni, understands character archetypes, which is all what George is working with all the time.
Yes.
Character archetypes. And so I'm not concerned, in summary. I'm not really concerned.
Same. I'm not concerned. I'm of the opinion that he's the right person for the job. I think I think the question is less, should a superfan be allowed to run these things? And it's more, is this the right person? Like, is this the right person for the job? Because you can be a super fan who is not the right person for the job. That is a thing.
See my friend Bobby who won.
Okay, sure.
Thanks. Right, sure.
Sorry, Bobby. I do not.
You got great ideas, but that's not one of them. Let's move on.
So you can be a super fan and be the wrong person for the job. You can be a super fan. You can be not a super fan and be the right person for the job. So I think that's really what it comes down to. Does this person have the right vision? Do they have the right track record? And I think Dave is like 70-30 with the vision and 30 with the track record. he's still kind of building his track record. He's still, relatively young man. Is he 50? Is he even 50? I don't know.
I'll look it up.
So
I can't because my keyboard is not good.
No worky. Okay.
Well, I got it. No, I got it. Dave, you're just going to hear me typing for some. But it's okay. He's 51.
Okay, there you go. So he's
Filoni's from Pennsylvania and he dresses from Arizona. No way.
Yeah, he's from Pennsylvania and he's a big Pittsburgh fan, I think. Talks about that a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan. The other thing to consider here, and this is a good note to end on, is that a lot of this stuff happens above the level of even Kathleen Kennedy right now. Like, we know that the Steven Soderbergh, Adam Driver project was given the green light by Kathleen and company, and then was nixed by someone at a higher level. It's sort of presumably Bob Iger. And other folks at that level
and co. Yeah.
And co.
Right.
So, so there is now, I feel like some of that may have been because of a lack of faith in Kathleen Kennedy or a lack of faith in, no, not so much that, but more of a, these people fans just gave us hell for bringing back Palpatine. And now you want to bring back, Kylo Ren too? And bring back Ben too?
I wasn't upset that Palpatine was back. I was upset that he came back with zero context.
Agreed. Yeah. But I can see how an overly cautious, under-informed business executive,
underinformed,
right?
There's the
draws the wrong conclusion, and says nah, come on, we're gonna resurrect the dead character again when they just gave us crap for that. Come on. And nixes it, maybe because if it's already coming from someone who you don't trust super much at the moment, or who's not in your good graces at the moment, maybe that suggestion it falls on even deafer ears than it would otherwise. So I wonder if with different people in that seat, will some of those things that maybe got nixed at a higher level get through? Or will he face similar challenges where the business people are holding one arm behind his back? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But some of that might be out of his control. No matter how good his intentions are, no matter how good his vision is, sometimes business stuff just gets in the way.
Business is going to business. There's really no way to. You're right. There's no way to get around that at all.
Yeah.
And this really comes down very much into the category of. It's one of those jobs that you don't really know how it works because we don't do that job.
Right.
We're nowhere close to that job. We can understand parts of the business world. We can understand part of the entertainment world. We can understand a part of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it is just, when it comes down to it, there's a whim and a way, and it's about the money.
Yeah.
And of course it has to be. It's not just they're not tossing $10 out here. That's like hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs and literally millions of dollars.
Yes.
Like, so I cannot fault anybody for wanting to play it safe.
Sure.
But I do think a guy that has a better track record than not is a fan, respected by fans. You know, fans. And also fans suck.
Yeah.
People like Kiss the Ground Dave Filoni walked on till the end of Ahsoka season 1, and they were like, "He's the worst thing."
Sure.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
like,
come on.
Like, he's the worst thing. I'm going to go back to watch Clone Wars now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just people are silly. Yeah,
People are silly.
yeah,
People are
Better
strange when you're a stranger.
yeah. I just I do have one final thought, one kind of wish list thing that I'd like to see. I think that there was this really hard, big focus in pushing away from Han, Luke, and Leia.
Yeah.
In Lando.
Hello.
To an extent. And I know that is coming to an end. The original Star Wars characters are making their way towards Disneyland in Star Wars land. Darth Vader's arriving, Luke, like they're all going to be there.
They're doing what they should have done to begin with.
Right. There's a tie-in coming out with, like connecting, the outpost to the original trilogy. And, that's all just like, merchandising nonsense to everyone. I was like, why are they here? Well, there was a comic about it if you saw it.
Have a continuity reason for that. Yeah.
Right, sure. But that's all fine. No issue with that per se. But
there's going to be a tie-in with lots of issues. So,
of course.
Right.
Yeah, there will be lots of issues. You're right. No, I think you're right. They should have done that from the beginning. Yeah. But I think that we're going to be seeing more of those characters again. I think the idea of like, oh, well, they were played by, Carrie, Mark, and Harrison. We can't touch them. I just don't think that's true, personally.
Yeah.
I think that characters are bigger than their actors most of the time, especially in franchise village. They just have to be. You'd be like, well, Jerry and Joe Schuster, Siegel and Schuster, they drew Superman, so like character belonged, it goes on. Characters go on.
To Kathleen Kennedy's credit, Solo, a Star Wars story, happened under her watch. She did.
I agree.
She did try that.
She tried.
But I think the wrong lesson may have been taken from that too.
I agree.
So yeah,
wrong character, wrong lesson. I think to go backwards is not really the same thing as moving forwards.
Right.
And then you really want to, there's a lot of years between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens that you're not touching, but you could touch with an amazing animated series.
Yes.
Creatively controlled by one of the better Star Wars animated creators out there. There's not that many of them. So I don't know. There's just stuff that I think that as a super fan, he's not a super fan of just the Clone Wars. Sure, he created that, but he got there because he loves the original trilogy, the original characters. And I would like to see that. But I also understand if they just keep moving forward into a new timeline. Star Trek does that, right? There was original series. Then Next Generation, we hung out in Next Generation land for a while with DS9 and Voyager, and then they, hopped on forward, and now they're in the next phase of Star Trek and Starfleet and whatever, and that's okay too. So, time moves on. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I'm excited for the Dave Filoni era. And honestly,
Dave Filoni and Lynwen Brennan era.
And Lynwen Brennan era. And honestly, I think that Kathleen Kennedy gets a lot of crap she doesn't deserve. And I hope she is able to go back to producing movies. She's kind of balking at.
It's what she's supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not really I'm retiring from this job, but I'm not retiring.
She's 72.
Yeah, she's 72. But and
I wouldn't want that high stress job at that
Sure.
age. I don't want that.
Sure.
But
I think she just wants to do what she loves, which is producing movies. And she did say, like, oh, I'd be happy to, do another Star Wars project if they ever asked me to. But, I've got other projects I'm going to work on. So she's open to it if they ever want her back. But good for her. She should go do projects she wants to do for fun, and enjoy doing what she does best. Her and Frank Marshall.
I agree because I feel like she got so stuck in Star Wars land for a while. People kind of forget that she's truly one of the best producers out there
In film history.
Like,
in film history.
in film history. If you ditch Star Wars, if I go pre-Star Wars, Lincoln, Warhorse, Adventures of Tintin, Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Ponyo, Indiana Jones, Persepolis, Munich, War of the Worlds, Seabiscuit, Signs, Jurassic Park, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Snow Falling on Cedars, The Sixth Sense, Lost World, Twister, Indian in the Cupboard, Congo, The Flintstones, Schindler's List, We're Back, Jurassic Park, Tiny Toons, Hook,
wow.
Cape Fear, Back to the Future.
I was waiting for that one.
Yep. The Land Before Time, Back to the Future 2 and 3, Empire of the Sun, American Tail, Young Sherlock Holmes, The Goonies, Gremlins, E.T., Poltergeist. Like,
Very few producers with that kind of resume, right?
yeah, if really ever. It's like, yeah. There's she go back to doing what you love. You've
Right.
earned your time, and also you can say whatever you want about the sequel trilogy. There's also some other like Mandalorian, season 6 of Clone Wars, even Andor. Like, there's some really solid,
Some real gems
out there.
Yeah.
Some real gems. Not even counting comics, games, like all that other stuff that's out there. So
honestly, Force Awakens too. Like, Force Awakens is everybody loved that movie when it came out. Everybody loved that movie. It was pretty universally loved.
I thought it was just okay, truthfully. I've actually grown to like it more than when I saw it. I've kind of gone in the other direction where I appreciate it more now. Truthfully, I kind of I was disappointed when I first saw it because it was just it felt like a rehash.
Yeah.
Which it was.
Yeah, which it was.
But now I'm over it. I don't care.
You're looking at it with your rose colored
my orange colored lenses.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything's better with orange.
It's true. Yeah. No blue light that way.
Nope. Frank, can you tell me where the people can find us?
beerwithgeeks.com is a great place. It's a great resource. You can look up the other times we've talked about Star Wars. You can search and find our we did commentaries and all sorts of things. Actually, with this glass came a bottle of whiskey, which I haven't opened yet. I have some others that I want to open first. But when choosing what to give me, my sister was very resourceful and went to beerwithgeeks.com and searched for what I had as a drink other than beer, and found a whiskey and bought one for me to go with this glass, which was very, very thoughtful and very resourceful. I was like, that was brilliant. That was a really good call. So beerwithgeeks.com is a great resource for all sorts of things. If you happen to be related to me and want to buy me a gift, go for it. So do that. Go to patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio to help support the show. That's a really, really important way to help out. And of course, you can rate and review us and subscribe and follow and tell a friend and all those things in whatever podcast app you like. You can find us in all those places as well.
Frank, it's really a pleasure to talk to you while you're smoking a cigar. That doesn't happen a lot, and I don't get to say that sentence very often, but it really is a pleasure. It looks good next to you. Well, until next time, cheers.
Cheers.